So I want to talk about a really surprising way to think about research and development. I think that this is going to help you out as managers that are out there and students as well. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for it to help you out as much as I possibly can. I love it. I could see Izzy in the background, right? Izzy and Babs. How do you think about research and development? And the way that I think about this is thinking of it as school and thinking of it as education. The whole function of it is for you to think about things in different ways. So research is a little bit more of like discovering new things that you haven't thought about. Development is sort of thinking about how to perfect or how to make what you're doing a little better right now. So it could be a lot of different ways. And we can think about research and development in sort of specific areas, like in the product or within the process of the thing that you're working on. But in general, it's really just going to school to discover a whole new world and to think about all the different ways that things work together. And I know that seems like a weird way to think about things, but that helps you sort of to figure out, oh, I need to actually get an education. I need to sort of work on these things to look at how I can grow and become better within the sort of functions that I have. So that's the important thing to think about, is that it's not just about some weird thing that's for specific companies that are out there. But I truly believe all companies should be doing some form of research and development and working on the assets that they have, right? We just have so the big sort of thing that drives performance, within companies, research and development is definitely one of those big things that drives performance. We know that. It's pretty solid. It's not even like debated anymore. It is so solidly talked about and assumed. But, the key thing to think about is that the world is changing all the time, right? You're always coming up with new things. And so what you want to do is think about hey, how do I rationally invest in not only discovering the world that I have right now, but also thinking about where I want to go in the future or if the world changes. So that's why getting an education really matters. That's why research and development actually matters, right? It's sort of thinking about the world around us. So how do you do this without bankrupting your company? And it doesn't, if you're a corner store, you should be doing some research and development, and it doesn't matter. So what you need to think about is the ratio of how much money that you can waste and throw out, right? It's irrelevant to what you're doing, and put that into research and development. That's how you should be thinking about research and development, is thinking about it as a complete waste right now. It's you're spending money and you'll never get it back, and it's gone, right? But you're thinking about things in the future, and you're sort of discovering how things actually work. And so it's a really wasteful way of thinking about things. But how you think about it is that every once in a while, maybe it's every couple of years, you discover this this big thing that you wouldn't have discovered, and then that pans out. It's not like you spend money on this and you get a direct return from it. That's not how it works. It's like you spend money on it and you might get some money back in the future, but that might every once in a while pans out just massively. You just don't know when that massively is going to happen, right? So think about that as you're going about, is I want to think about how I can invest to discover something that's going to be really cool eventually at some point. So whether you're a corner store or a hot dog stand or a large multinational firm like Google or something like that, you got to invest in research and development. You have to think about where you want to go. You have to invest in that education. And so how much is that, what is the right amount? So for me, an average, I like to look at averages. And an average roughly-ish is 5 to 15% of whatever you're bringing in is going to be wasted, thrown out. That's a good amount, I think. So if you start in the way that you get up to that sort of imaginary number of maybe it's 10% you're going to invest in research and development of doing new things. the way that you do that is you start off with 1%. Maybe the next 6 months, you start off spending 1% of whatever you're bringing in. So if you're bringing in $100,000, you spend about $1,000 on, doing something new, whatever that something new is for you. And then you constantly are looking for these kind of new things to invest in and to build up. And then, maybe the next 6 months after that, you go to 2%. So you're spending, $1,200. And so the idea is to do it and get to the point where it's not really like uncomfortable to actually get there, and kind of slowly build up to the point where you're actually spending enough, enough, but not so much that you're going to break the bank. Because again, it's wasteful and you're going to throw money out the window. I guarantee that's going to happen, but you have to sort of figure out how to do that so that you can take advantage of opportunities that come your way that you would never have discovered without doing it. It's like education, right? Education is a giant waste in general. It's very expensive and you throw money out the window. I mean, I can't imagine. I remember when my kids used to come home and we'd have to do all these worksheets in like kindergarten and first grade and stuff, like coloring. They'd do all this work and then they throw it out. You throw it in the garbage. And it's like, this is so wasteful. But you're learning things, you're discovering things. And as you sort of do this many, many times, you start figuring out where you need to go to, and you start discovering opportunities that you would never have thought about. And now, just like with kids, right, that education does not pan off right away, that. But it's like, hey, maybe in 20 years, if I repeatedly do this, then I'll be far better off by doing this than not doing it. And that's how you think about it. Like, how do you get to this quantum leap in terms of where you want to go to? It's really investing in the education for your company, the research and development for your company. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.